Welcome back to another edition of the Friday Show brought to you by Monmouth Park. I'm Ray Paulick here with Chelsea Hackbarth, our news editor, and a special guest, Kaymarie Kreidel, the Outrider for the Maryland Jockey Club. Monmouth Park, as I said, is the sponsor. They're back in action. 12:15 first post on weekends. They've gone back to a new crop rule. It's going to be the riding crop rule that will be in effect at all tracks in the country starting July 1st. The jockeys at Monmouth Park are allowed to use the riding crop again this year, which is good news. Don't forget about the 50-cent win early pick 5. It's the nation's earliest pick 5. Fixed odds wagering on track, win, place, and show bets. The odds when you bet are the odds that you get. That's a new thing at Monmouth Park and in the United States this year. Also new this year will be Haskell Preview Day. That's June 18 with 4 stakes leading up to the biggest day of the meeting, the TVG.com Haskell Stakes Day on July 23rd. Well, in the wake of Rich Strike's Kentucky Derby win and the aftermath when he got very aggressive with Outrider Greg Blasi and his horse, we thought it would be good to talk to somebody who's had some experience as an outrider. Kaymarie is a former jockey in the Mid-Atlantic, stakes-winning jockey, and you've been doing outriding for about how long now?
Between being a fill-in and being full-time, about 20 years.
Could you just sort of explain, it's a two-pronged job. There's in the morning and in the afternoon. Could you explain what the role is?
Yeah, my basic explanation, I do it a lot when I do little shows at like Timonium and at Pimlico for the Sunrise Tour and everything. Basic explanation of an outrider is we are a police officer / rescue squad. We are out there to maintain control of all the horses and riders for everybody's safety. And we're also the first to rescue any situation. If a rider's in trouble, we are there to help save them. If there's a loose horse, we're there to catch a loose horse. So we have many roles that we perform. And pretty much from the second we hit the racetrack, whether it's morning or afternoon, we have to keep our eyes open and we have to watch a lot of things going on. And a lot of times we can sometimes predict an incident before it even happens just by watching it, and we can get our ponies there and stop it from turning into an absolute chaotic situation.
So what did you think when you saw the issue with Greg and Rich Strike right after the Derby?
Well, first thing I saw when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is going to go all over social media because people don't realize what happens and they're going to think negatively. But people don't understand a horse's bite is about 500 PSIs. They can bite you and literally rip chunks of flesh out of your skin. They're very strong animals. And a lot of times when colts grab a hold of you, they won't let go. It's almost like a dog when they grab a hold of something. They'll sit there and grab you and shake you and pull until they accomplish whatever goal they want. And sometimes when the horses run, their adrenaline's so pumped up and they're just so excited that they kind of go blank. And so he tried shoving him a few times and he unfortunately had to get aggressive to get him off to save himself and his pony. None of us want to do it. Last thing in the world any of us want to do is hit a horse or get too aggressive, but for your own safety, sometimes you have to, and he was forced into it, and it was the best thing for him and his pony.
Have you ever had anything similar to that when you've been on the job?
Yeah, I actually had one, ran off in the post parade. Forrest Boyce was on it. It was a 2-year-old colt trained by Michael Matz. It was the first 2-year-old crop of Tappets. And he grabbed a hold of me and was trying to rip me off. And we were at a dead run when he grabbed me. And I couldn't get him off of my leg. And we had to take him over to the gate. And the gate guys literally had to practically beat him off of me and pull him and pry him off my leg. I ended up with a lot of damage to my thigh muscle from it. So, yeah, they're very dangerous animals.
One of the criticisms I saw on social media, Kaymarie, was that Greg should have just let go of the horse. Why is that not a good idea?
Most of the time, if you let go of, especially when one's being, if you notice that horse just kept going after him and after him. If you just would have had a bite or two and he kind of shoved him away and pushed him away and the horse stayed away, then okay, you can let go of him. But that horse just kept retaliating and kept going after him. 9 out of 10 times, if you would have let go of him at that point, that horse would end up coming up with his front legs up over top of Greg and probably would have been on top of him and his pony. It could have gotten a lot worse.
So assuming that he is going in the Preakness, will you and the other outriders kind of come up with a plan in case anything similar happens?
Yeah, actually, me and the head outrider, we were discussing it because we are the ones that take care of the Black Eye Susan winner and the Preakness winner. And we were discussing the fact that we think if that horse does win, instead of actually physically taking a hold of him, to just be on either side as kind of like a shield to keep other horses and other people away. And if we don't physically lay a hand on him, we don't think he'll actually come at us, because he didn't grab Greg until Greg put a hand on him. And then that's when he retaliated. But at the same time, our job of taking these horses, a lot of people think we just do it for the interview. Our job is, I don't know if you remember back in 2019, we had a loose horse, Bodexpress, on the Preakness. Actually, my pony and I caught Bodexpress that day. But in order to get that horse back to the winner's circle, our job is to protect everybody and to protect that horse. So we don't want that loose horse to come over and make the Preakness winner get loose. So that's why an outrider always grabs it and keeps it away from everybody else and protects it. It's not just strictly for the interview.
Interesting. Can you brag on your ponies a little bit, Kaymarie? I know you've got some awesome ones in the barn.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I do. The two that'll be working this weekend will be Wolf Trap, and he's a street magician. And the one that caught the Bodexpress is Witch Hunter, and he is a ghost sapper. And that one I actually got from Mr. Stronach, who owns, of course, several racetracks, including Pimlico and Laurel. That was one of his race horses, and that's who I've got Witch Hunter from.
That's who you rode when you got Bodexpress, right?
Yes, that's who I rode then.
It takes a special talent, doesn't it, for these horses to learn this job? It's different than racing.
Yeah. When I go look for a outriding pony, there's certain things I want. I want one that's got obviously a lot of speed. They need a lot of speed. Brakes, I don't care about brakes. I'll teach them about brakes, because one that I'm actually breaking right now was a dead runoff, both as a training horse and as a racehorse. He always had to be pulled up after the races. He always had to be pulled up half the time galloping or breezing. He's now one of my early young progressing outriding ponies. But brakes I can teach them. I want horses that have a lot of speed, but they're smart, because they need to start learning to read the situation, because sometimes they'll see things that I don't see quick enough. And once they start learning it, I've gone for horses and I think I need to make the bid at this time. My pony's like, nope, wait a second, Mom, nope. And then they make the bid, and they're usually right before I am, because they can read another horse better than me. And sometimes you go for a horse, they'll hit the brakes and jump your heels, or they'll turn around and such. And my ponies read it better than me. You want a quick pony, but a very smart pony. Everything else you can teach them. You can teach them brakes, and you can teach them how to stand still eventually.
Eventually being the key word.
Sometimes it takes a little longer with some, but they all eventually learn. And I tell you right now, all my ponies start off with regular Western bits on them, and by the time they're working the afternoon, they all go in hackamores. And wow. I've actually caught a loose one with no bridle. My bridle broke and fell off, and I still caught the horse. I didn't want to catch the horse. Didn't plan on catching the horse once my bridle broke. But the horse was in my shot, and my pony said, nope, we're getting it. And the horse ducked and dived. My pony ducked and dived, and he went right up to it, and the horse was there, so I grabbed it. So once they learn their job, I'm just basically there to grab the reins for them. If I didn't have to grab the reins, they probably wouldn't need me.
How long is the training process, once you start with them to the time that they're ready?
Depends on the horse. Anywhere from, I've had them turn over as quickly as in 2 months, and I've had some of them take me almost a whole year.
Yeah. And they're always thoroughbreds, or sometimes quarter horses? Or...
My very first pony was a APHA, American Paint Horse. He was quarter horse, but 5th generation back on both sides. He had thoroughbred, so he had a little quick speed like a thoroughbred. But I prefer using X-race horses just because they know the racetrack and the routine, and they're used to the gate and the crowds, and they just have to learn that they have a different job.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kaymarie. I feel better knowing that there's a plan for Rich Strike going forward in Preakness.
Yeah, the basic plan is all of us to stay safe, including everybody else. I mean, we don't want him. From what I understood, talking to a few people that were there, he was also savaging the pony in the post parade prior to that. One of the other outriders had to get him from the pony person. So yeah. I'm just hoping it's a quiet situation and we don't turn into another fiasco.
I'm sure you'll have an eye on him in the mornings before the race too.
Exactly.
Before we let you go, you've been doing this a while now. Have you had any other like really strange experiences? I mean, the Bodexpress thing was on national TV, which you had. I know you did a lot of interviews after that, but have you had any other, strange circumstances occur during a race?
I wouldn't say nothing really spectacular during a race. That's pretty much simple. Most of them are catches. I caught one without a bridle in the morning, and I actually put the horse in a headlock. I put my arm around his neck and I choked him down, and that's how I pulled him up. So there were several trainers and stuff there, and they all were like, we were too dumbfounded to pull out our phone to record it. But
come on, guys.
They were too much of a shock. And then I was like, okay, can now somebody come get this horse? Because I've got it in a headlock, and eventually it's going to pull away from me. I'm not that big. But that was probably the craziest. But I've caught a few that had broken bridles. I know one time Toledo broke out of the gate, and I saw his horse ducked out, and I just thought it kind of bolted with him. And then I get a radio from one of the outriders. I think he might need him. So I cut across the racetrack, and I set up for him, and I go to reach over for him, and his rein broke. He had no rein. So that's why he was scraping the outside rail. So I ended up just grabbing a hold of the side of the bridle and pulling him in. So, crazy things like that. The main thing is I just want to protect the riders.
Have you considered carrying a lasso?
I've thought about that, but I don't think I'd be very good at catching them that way. I'm just better off just trying to grab them myself.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time, and we look forward to what we hope to be a safe Preakness with no incidents, and you can do your job quietly in the background this year.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks again so much. Thank you to Monmouth Park for their sponsorship of the Friday show, and we'll see you next week.